Hello and welcome. In this lecture, I'm going to talk about how to set up a lab for malware analysis. So we are going to look at how you can create virtual machines for malware analysis. So what are the requirements? You should use a virtualbox which is free and downloadable from this link here. And this is the website where you can go and download VirtualBox. Just click on Windows Host to download Oracle VirtualBox. After you have done that, just install it. And after installing it, you should have an icon on your desktop. This icon over here. And once you open it, this is what you get. And on the left panel will be all the virtual machines which you have already created. In my case, you can see I've already installed one virtual machine which is Windows 10. In your case, this will be blank. Of course, in order to create a virtual machine, you will need to have an ISO image. So you can download Windows 10 from here. Go to this link here, Microsoft website. And then click on this button, download tool. So after downloading the tool, you need to use the tool to create the installation media, which is in this case ISO. So just follow the instructions for creating the media. And after you have finished creating the media, you should have an ISO image. Let me show you what it looks like. This is the ISO image. Originally, the file will be quite long. I have renamed it to something simpler. I just call it windows.iso. So the file size is approximately 4.492 gigabytes for my example. So we are going to make use of this ISO image next. After you have finished installing your ISO image inside your virtual machine, you need to go and install the guest edition tools. So let me first show you how to install the ISO image. So go to your Oracle VirtualBox and then click on Machine, click on New. And then over here, make sure this is showing Windows 7 64-bit. If it is not showing Windows 7 64-bit, but only showing 32-bit, that means your computer is not configured for virtualization. So you need to go to your BIOS settings and turn on virtualization. So there are many YouTube videos to show you how to do that. So I'll leave it to you to turn it on if you have already not done so. So after enabling virtualization, you'll be able to see 64-bit here. So here you need to select Windows 10 64-bit, and then give a name. You can leave the folder path as it is, and over here just give a name, Windows 10 demo. I will call it demo because I already have Windows 10 existing, and so I just call it demo. Then click on next, and over here I've got 16 gigabytes of RAM, so I can give 2 gigabytes to Windows 10. You should also have at least 16 gigabytes in order for a smoother experience. The minimum will be 8 gigabytes. Anything less than 8 gig, you might experience some lag. So I recommend 8 gigabytes minimum for your computer, and then you can assign 2 gigabytes to it. So 2048 megabytes is 2 gigabytes. So click next. Hard disk, no need to change any settings, just click on create. Here just click on next. Here click on next again, and here set it to 80 gig. 80 gig. And then click on create. So after you have created it, you should be able to see something like this here. Now you can power it on. So just click on Start. And then it will ask you for a startup disk. So click on this icon and then navigate to the folder where you have downloaded your Windows ISO by clicking Add here. And then go to the folder where you've downloaded your ISO, click on it, click Open. And then once you see that there, just click on it, click Choose, and then click Start. Once you click Start, you will go through the process of installation. That will take some time. So once you finish installation, I'll just abort this because I already done it before. Once you finish installation, you should be able to see it here. Now when you start this machine, it is not going to be full screen. So let me show you. When you start the machine, after installing, you will not see full screen. You will instead see a windowed screen like this. There will be a title bar on top, and there will be some status bar at the bottom where you can still see your host machine. Now in virtual machine terminologies, host machine refers to your main operating system. So in my case, I have a main operating system in the background. Let me just show that to you. So this is my main operating system, which is also Windows 10, and I'm running on Acer. I'm using Acer, if I'm not mistaken. Acer Aspire 5, Intel Core i5, and using 512 SSD storage and 16 gig RAM. So this is my host machine. So inside my host machine, I have already installed Oracle VirtualBox and created a virtual machine out of Windows 10. So that is the concept of virtual machine. So now, once you finish installing your virtual machine, you will see a windowed display here. So when you click on View Full Screen, you won't be able to go to full screen. So in order to go to full screen, you will need to do the next step, which is to install the guest tools, the guest edition tools, so that you can go to full screen, and you will also be able to share files, share folders between your host and your guest. So when I say guest, I'm referring to the virtual machine. This is called your guest operating system. So how do you install the guest edition tools? So come back to your virtual machine, go to the top, Devices, click on Insert Guest Edition CD Image. After you have clicked on this, you'll be able to see a new folder. You go to this PC, you'll be able to see this new icon here. This is the Guest Edition CD. It is a virtual CD. So once you see this, just double click on it and then select the AMD 64 EXE, double click on it. That's it. So once you double click on this, you will go through the installation of the additional programs, additional packages that will allow you to go to full screen. Now, if you, after having installed that guest editions, you still cannot go to full screen, then here is a solution. Go to your Oracle VirtualBox, select the virtual machine, go to Settings, go to Display. You have to shut down your virtual machine first before you can do that. So just shut it down and then come back here. You'll be able to click on all this. So go to Display, make sure the graphics controller is VBox SVGA, and then all you need to do is pull the video memory all the way up to 128 megabytes. And then here is optional. You can either click enable 3D acceleration or not. So just try this first, pull all the way to 128 megabytes, and then start your virtual machine again and try to go to full screen. If that still fails, then come back here and click on this to enable 3D acceleration, and then click OK and try to restart again. After that, I'm quite confident you should be able to go to full screen by clicking on View Full Screen. Click Switch. So now you're in full screen, and this is totally full screen. You can't see the windows at the side, the Windows bar at the side. How do you get back to your host? To go back to your host machine, come down to the bottom, and when you put your mouse at the bottom, hover there, it should pop up a bar. Okay, like this. When you hover down there, you can see this bar popping up. Alright, so all you need to do is click on this icon. Then you take it back to Windows mode. From here you can minimize the window and get back your host desktop. So this is how you can create a virtual machine. Now the second thing is, how do you share files between your host and your guest? To do that, you need to create a shared folder in your host machine. So open your host machine, go to C drive and create a folder called shared. And whatever you want to share with your guest, you can just drop it in here. So whatever files and folders you drop into the shared folder can be accessed by your virtual machine. So how do you create that shared folder? So after you have created this shared folder here, you need to enable this in your Oracle VirtualBox. So go back to your Oracle VirtualBox here, select the virtual machine and click on Settings. Head over to the shared folders menu and click on it, and then here click on Add, and then click on Folder Path, select Other, and then navigate to your shared folder, which is in your C drive. Click on this and click Select Folder. After you have done that, you should be able to see something like this. So what you do is uncheck Read Only, check Auto Mount, and check Make Permanent, hit OK. And once you do that, you should now be able to share files between your guest and your host. So now if I go to my guest, if I want to take out the file that I've shared from my host, I can go to my operating system explorer, and you will see down here there's a shared icon. You can also click here and you'll be able to see the same thing here, shared icon. So now if I click on shared icon, I can see the same files that I've shared with my host and my guest. So this, and if you want to share files from the virtual machine to your host, just drag the file into here, and then you can go back to your host and open your host shared folder, and you should be able to see the file that you have shared from your guest. So this is important because it makes it easy for you to transfer tools between the two machines. The other setting which you ought to know is your network. Presently, the network, how did I get this? Click on this, your virtual machine, click on Settings, and then click on Network. If you see this thing, check Enable Network Adapter, and NAT here is enabled, it means that your machine, your virtual machine, can access the internet. It can access the internet like this. If you do not want your virtual machine to be able to access the internet, maybe temporarily you don't want it to access the internet, then all you need to do is come down here and change this to host only adapter. Click OK. Once you set it to host only, then your virtual machine will not be able to go to the internet. This might be important in cases where you are doing malware analysis on worms. Worms have the ability to spread through the network. And the other thing you want to do now is to disable Windows Defender. So come back to this. You need to, alright, before that, you need to create a snapshot of your virtual machine after configuring it. So we haven't finished configuring it yet, so I'm not going to do snapshot yet. We'll do that last. So first thing you need to do now, The next thing you need to do now is to disable Windows Update, and you can do that by using services. So you go to your Windows machine, come down here, right click, run, services MSC, services.msc, click OK. Just open services.msc and then over here, disable Windows Update. Scroll down and disable Windows Update. Look for Windows Update. Here, double click and then here stop. And then here, disable. Click apply. Okay. Right, you don't want Windows Update because Windows Update might interfere with your malware analysis, because it will then install the latest Windows Defender, and Windows Defender will block all your malware and then you won't be able to do any analysis. The second thing you need to disable is disable Windows Defender. Alright, what basically you need to do is, let me show you on my host how it's done. In order to stop Windows Defender, I will show it to you how I do it on my host machine. It's the same as your virtual machine. So right click here, search, and then go for Windows Security, and then over here click on this icon, and over here manage settings, and then real-time protection, turn it off. Click yes. Turn it off. Turn off cloud protection. Turn off automatic sample submission. Turn off tamper protection. Okay, you need to do that. Otherwise, whenever you try to open a malware or download some analysis tools, it will delete it. It will delete it. So you will lose your files. Okay, it will not allow you to download files which Microsoft think is not good for you. So this is how intrusive these kind of things can be when you're trying to be a hacker. Alright, so just turn off everything. So do that for your virtual machine. You can also permanently disable Microsoft Windows Defender. So to do that, use a tool called GP Edit. So to access GP Edit, click on the bottom right corner and then select Run. Key in GP Edit as you see here. gpedit.msc, click OK. So this is the group policy editor, and we can use it to permanently disable Windows Defender. Go to computer configuration, administrative templates, and then select Windows components, and then scroll down and look for Microsoft Defender Antivirus. Double click on it, and then over here real-time protection, double click on it and turn off real-time protection. So double click on this and then click enable. So when you enable this, means you are turning off real-time protection permanently, and then click OK. And then turn off as many things as you can. Let's see what else. Yes, so I've turned off Microsoft Defender Antivirus. So here's one more, and then double click on this, double click on this, and then here enable. So this will turn off Microsoft Defender Antivirus permanently. So those are the basic minimum things you need to permanently disable in order to do malware analysis. Okay, so once you permanently disable, then you can just reboot your Windows operating system, your virtual machine. Then you should be able to have your peace of mind, knowing that your Windows will not delete your files without your permission, and you can be free to download any file without being stopped by Windows, and also open any file of your choosing. So this is the basic essentials setting for malware analysis or malware development lab. Okay, so I think that covers everything. Let's see. Alright, so the last step, let's see. Oh yes, another thing, disable hide extension. So what does that mean? Now if you open any folder, by default you won't be able to see the extension at the back. You won't be able to see any of the extension at the back for any files whatsoever. It will be hidden. You won't be able to see exe, DLL and all that. You won't be able to see that. So that is bad because malware hides its extension, and because it's the extension is hidden, malware author might use a PDF icon, but at the back is really an exe file. So that is dangerous, yes? So you have to enable the extension. So to enable it, all you need to do is go to open any file explorer. Let's go to full screen again. Just open any folder, and then over here on the top you can see view, and over here go to options, click on change folder, search options, and then under here click on view, and then scroll down and over here this one make sure it's unchecked. For you it will be checked by default, so uncheck this. And then the other thing is you can also check this one so that you can see hidden files and folders. So those are the two things you need to do. So once you've done that, then you can see all the file extensions and also all the hidden files. And the last thing to do is to create a snapshot. So to create a snapshot, all you need to do is come down here, open up the Windows title bar, go to devices, and here under machines click on take snapshot, and then give a name, click OK. So once you've done that, you should be able to see your snapshot in the Oracle VirtualBox Windows, which is here. You can see all the snapshots. See my fresh snapshot, I call it fresh December 13, 2021. And then after that, whenever I'm about to do a major change, I might take a snapshot after I made a major change. And whenever you create a snapshot, you can always revert back to the snapshot by selecting the snapshot, and then once you select it, you can click restore. But in order to restore, you need to shut down your machine. Click on this, shut down, power off, and then now you can restore. Click on the earlier snapshot and then click restore, and then it will ask you, do you want to make a backup of your current state? Select no, click restore. So once you restore, it will revert back to that particular snapshot. So this is a habit you should always practice after and before and after you analyze a malware. So before you analyze a malware, before you run a malware, before you download a malware, take a snapshot, and then you can go and detonate your malware in your virtual machine, do whatever you want, run it, and even if it's a ransomware, you're not afraid because you can always revert back to your earlier snapshot. And so this is the principle. That is why virtual machines are so useful, because it allows you to run any malware without fear, and then you'll be able to revert back to the snapshot. So the snapshot is of utmost importance. Without it, you won't be able to do malware analysis. So that's why we need a virtual machine. So I hope this was helpful to you guys. And the other final thing to note is your Windows that you download from Microsoft is a legal license copy, and I think it is a trial license, which is I think valid for a certain number of days. I don't recall exactly how many days. I think it's 30 days or 3 months, I can't remember. And after 3 months, you have to buy a license, or you have to revert back to an earlier snapshot. So that's why the snapshot comes in handy. Okay. The other alternative is to activate the Windows through other means, which you can find on the internet, if you know what I mean. So you can download some activators if you wanted to, and just activate it permanently. So that's all for this practical and lecture on how to set up a malware development lab. The last thing I want to note is why I'm choosing Windows 10 instead of Windows 7, because some students of mine have reported that Windows 7 is not compatible with Flare VM. Flare VM is the next tool we are going to install, which will allow you to do malware analysis, and some of them say they had problem with Windows 7. So, and I've already checked, now the latest version of Flare VM, which is version 3, does support Windows 10. So that's why we can use Windows 10. However, Windows 10 might be more resource intensive, so if you're using your old computer, it might be laggy. So I would recommend at least Core i5 with 16GB of RAM if you can, if not at least 8GB of RAM. And you must use SSD storage, not hard disk storage, because hard disk storage is going to be very slow. So those are my recommendations for using Windows 10 as a virtual machine. So that's all. Thank you for watching.